All right, and we are live.
Return to London After Midnight on WTSF.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about it a lot. I just wanted to hear your voice. You know what today is, right? I can't stop thinking about it. About what happened. And to his face. It was just a prank. What do you mean for that to happen? It's been 5 years.
Welcome back to Regionfree for June of 2023. I'm joined today by Sam, Dan, Steak, and everyone. Put up your arms in the air. Raiho.
Oh my god!
Welcome back.
It's been a little while. What did I miss?
I think the country burned down and the show went on hiatus for 9 months.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. It's funny with the monthly format. I think that we have more time to prepare for the show, and yet I feel like I prepare less. Probably says something about myself.
Delegating.
Yes, that's a.
We're working on that skill. This is cool. Raiho was there from the beginning of my experience with the Sausage Factory, and it's second to last season all the way through. So, like, getting you back meant a lot to me.
Well, when I heard you were doing this, I was like, man, I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to come back, and you graciously were like, absolutely, whenever you want. So I appreciate that, and it's fun. It's a little weird doing a live stream again. It has been like more than 2 years, I think, or somewhere in that area. I don't know. For me,
it has to be.
So it is a little bit weird, but I'm gonna try and shake off the rust and hang out tonight.
So everyone, let's go, baby! Yeah, everyone in the chat, please give some love to Raiho, because we want him to feel like no time has passed. But yes. I want to. So, how do we start these shows? We start by reading some mail. So, Sam, can you start us off?
Slasher Home Video says, I need a 100 chalupa live stream. I've never had a chalupa.
What? You've never had a chalupa?
Wow.
The little chihuahua from Taco Bell is upset at you. I mean,
it's
he fought off Godzilla.
Or nothing. That's it.
How have you not had a chalupa? That's like...
Raiho, are there Taco Bells in Canada?
Oh, that's probably
there are.
Yeah,
tacos.
I just thought about it.
I don't frequent the Taco Bell, and in fact, I don't know if there's one anywhere near me, and I don't think I've chalupa.
I'm thinking you have to run to the border and then run to another border.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of pretty far away, but
yeah.
Not that I don't like Mexican food. Like we make it at home and stuff, but Taco Bell's just not on the radar for me.
When I was a
Well,
kid, Taco Bell was like the worst fast food. Like there was like all these rumors about them paying off the government to use like meat replacements and stuff. But today they're probably like quality wise the best fast food, which really speaks to how all the competition has fallen.
yeah,
Would
I'd
you
rather
guys
go
agree
to
with
the mom
that?
and pops.
What?
I'd rather go to the mom and pop
Well,
places.
yes, of course,
Those
but like
everywhere, and they're
mom
so
and
much
pops
better.
don't put drive-ins in.
No.
I can
Yeah.
walk
You
in.
can't get a bag of mom and pop tacos in under 2
You
minutes.
walking?
This is unfortunate. Okay, you're right.
But
That's
It's
not
America.
I feel
we
the
don't
same way,
walk.
Sam. I'd make them myself before I'd probably go to Taco Bell if I had a choice.
Mhm.
Sure.
Dan, you're up to read the next.
All right. Joshy's got a gun. Was there some sort of falling out with previous cast members or something?
Who wants to take that one on?
Well,
Not it.
I started asking for like, a few little perks here and there, and Pizzelle just got all fucking ridiculous about it. And like I wasn't asking for much, a few bucks under the table, you know what I mean? Nothing. The guy was stonewalling me, so I had to put an end to it.
There you go.
Green
there was some-
M&Ms.
He's big on filing taxes too, which I'm just against.
What's up with that?
My
Who does their
libertarian heart is
taxes?
bleeding.
the cocaine use got out of control, to be honest, and we just needed to.
Didn't it? Why do you think I needed that money?
Yeah.
That's where you've been the last 2 years.
Again,
I've been
again,
my
gotta travel
eyeballs
to
will
a
blow.
border.
It's been
gotta-
crazy.
You got to run to the border and then run to another border again.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an additional cost.
Maybe I should just move down there, man. I don't know.
Hey.
Sounds like
Tacos and blow, all you need.
Yeah, but like, are you shitting your pants faster with Taco Bell or with blow?
Ooh.
Mm.
And the two combined?
the thing
Might
is,
as well
after the
just hang it
blow,
on
you
the
don't
pot.
care.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. When you can't
Yeah,
feel
'cause
your
I mean,
face, I
you're
guess you
sitting
can't
down.
feel your
You're
ass.
sitting down. Hopefully, you've got like a sink next to you. Or like
You just got a little ledge. You can
cares?
just,
You're better.
It's perfect. But honestly, your hand makes a perfect little pocket.
You just snorted off the tortilla.
Never
So-
mind.
Yeah,
Let's move
yeah.
on.
You guys are acting like you've never pissed in the sink at a Taco Bell, okay? All right,
Fuckers.
Raiho, your turn.
What do we got? Tell Uncle Daniel I said hi.
aw.
Aw.
Hi, Uncle Dan.
I think we should
Hello,
all call him
Nico.
Uncle Dan.
For the rest of the
Alright.
show. Just
There's
change
something
that
very
thing down there.
sitcom-y about that. Uncle Dan.
Yes.
Uncle
And
Dan.
don't do cocaine, Nico. That's a joke.
There you go.
Today's episode is brought to you by Columbia. Steak.
Why Piz isn't do it on Thursdays anymore? I've missed this premiere. What happened?
A lot of channels to run. I mean, a lot of work.
Busy man.
Yeah.
He's a busy
After
fella.
mentioned Raiho Bills.
Yeah, I mean,
He's running the Piz.
I'm trying to take him with royalties and everything. You guys don't understand what's going on behind the scenes over here.
This is true.
Oh.
We're
I think
ruthless up here in Canada.
Him and Jeremy are just busy infiltrating Taco Bells around the
All right.
local area.
Touche.
This is going to be the
Spray painting
episode
on
that mentions
walls.
Taco Bell more than any other in history. That's the goal here. We'll have to work it into all the topics.
It's like a Breaking Bad situation with Piz,
just
where
kinda
he's
like
like
the,
running one.
It's just like the Dana Carvey show. Presented by Diet Mug Root Beer.
Hey, say what you will about Diet Mug, but all root beers are okay when they're diet. They
Yes.
don't change in flavor very much.
It's true.
That's
Agreed.
true.
All right, so kids, let's get to the first topic. So the Insidious franchise and the Conjuring franchise were both early huge successes for the Blumhouse studio. Very similar in both how they were marketed and the films themselves, really. Both of them also enjoyed franchises that followed. Obviously, the Conjuring universe, a bit larger, but it also has to own the Nun. So the question becomes, and we can discuss this however you guys want. So if you're just going to compare the first films, that's cool. If you want to the whole franchises, that's cool. But where do you stand on the great Blumhouse Spook House showdown?
I've watched exactly one of each of the franchises. Like I watched the first Insidious. I watched the first Conjuring. I don't know if I could tell them apart if you put scenes in front of me. I do recall that I liked the Conjuring better. I think probably because they were working the Warrens angle. I thought that was a little bit more interesting to like watch a movie about those characters, I guess. But they are just, I don't know how these turned into franchises. And then like maybe that's just me being old and crotchety, so take that for what it's worth. But like when I think about when I look at there's like 2 spin-offs to Conjuring now, isn't there? There's like The Nun and then La Llorona or something like that.
Yeah.
Annabelle also.
And then where did the creepy doll Annabelle? Is that what you said, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how did that happen?
How they manage to make so many bad films involving that doll?
They just keep making them, and people keep going to them. And I do often think to myself, like, maybe I should give them a try. And then nah, I don't think so.
Has anybody ever been spooked by the Annabelle movies? Because that doll just sits there and looks creepy. That's it.
But the doll's a problem for me because, like, what's scary about the original Raggedy Ann doll from the original story that they promoted at the time was that it was a really commonplace thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was worrying about the uncanny, right? Rather than the, ooh, look how spooky that doll looks. We've all seen like those photos of they go to eBay and you put haunted doll in. You're going to see 1 million dolls that they fucked up to make look scary. That's not scary to me at all. Maybe it'll scare, the 12-year-old who's never seen a horror movie before. But I think they should have I know they didn't want to license Raggedy Ann, but they probably should have gone way simpler.
Yeah, agree. It's kind of like the clown and Poltergeist. Is it Poltergeist?
Yeah.
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 It's just scary because it's creepy on its own.
Well,
even though it just looks normal.
I have a dumb question regarding that also. Was that clown and Poltergeist patterned after Bozo? I honestly don't know.
I don't know, honestly.
Hmm.
But I can see it.
Because
I can see it.
Also be part of the reason, why it still strikes a nerve, because we had Bozo the Clowns on local TV stations for years for a while. Yeah. So that was a commonplace thing. Same with the Raggedy Ann dolls. So that commonplace.
What's Bozo the Clown?
Oh, Jesus, I'm old.
Oh, God. I just withered up and died a little.
For the youngsters at home.
It was a crappy cable show with a clown. I don't know, but it was marketed at kids. Clowns, for some reason, you could sell to kids in the 80s.
So it wasn't some it was such a good show, and it was just that garbage that they had on.
Basically, I don't know. Maybe I'm underselling it.
Have you seen The Simpsons, Steak?
Well, yes, of course.
It's like Krusty the Clown, essentially, except
bad.
Yeah.
So
clown and vampire horror host too.
Yeah.
Yes. Also,
Bozo was a generational thing though. There was a couple versions of Bozo along the.
Bozo,
it was.
Bozo.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a different time. Like clowns didn't have the baggage.
Yeah.
Pre-Gacy certainly, but
one man.
One man
everyone.
Well, it wasn't one man. There was that creepy, the sad clown guy too.
Yeah.
What was his name? Anyway, he was like this sad clown, and it turned out he was like this freaky sex fiend and stuff like that. And
good.
He would snap into the clown and make his wife have sex with him in the costume and stuff like that. That guy was pretty creepy too. I can't think of his name right now. I'm blanking. I'm gonna have to look up the sex clown
tonight on a very special.
We have a chat for that. The chat is how it works.
Yes.
Chat,
give us the name.
Find that sad clown.
Go.
That liked to bang in his makeup.
Kelly something. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But,
his son ended up
stories
doing
that knows could tell.
After, and his son claimed that the guy claimed basically that the clown was like an entity that took him over. And then I think his son went into the business and he said the same thing. He said he would turn into this other, he would become this other entity or something like that. Really, really dark shit. For clowns.
I think the idea of anyone wearing either a mask or makeup, you already are into hey, kids are going to like this. No, they're not. Territory.
No, not at all.
They need a friendly face, and when you're painting over your natural, fucking wrinkles or whatever as your face moves, you just become uncanny. And oh, that's a monster. I don't know how to process this. Big
whatever
monster thing.
whatever it is that's
Get away
trying
from
to look human there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to do that. I have to put the paint on my face before every podcast.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Poltergeist though, because I mean, Insidious at the end of the day, same plot line, you know, parent entering some afterlife to save a kid. You got the medium character. The parents are very similar.
And that's
Very,
all great, but what Poltergeist did was they told you about it. They let you fucking figure it out. And Cities is just here. It's another thing. We have a name for this place. The further, isn't that incredible? Can you even imagine what that is?
But then there's a door, and you go through it, and it's you to go farther. So
The even further.
And we're just short of just fucking Christopher Lloyd showing up with a DeLorean.
Is that the one with the creepy like red like his face was
Yeah.
painted red? Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to.
The Darth Maul
Shitty movie.
ghost.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. It was like they were trying to tap into that Pazuzu face from Exorcist or something like that.
It never worked for me. In fact, when you see that character up close, I was like, this just looks like Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say that's the most well-known like thing from that series, and it's the worst one by far. Like honestly, every other like big ghost or demon, whatever the fuck, are so much better looking and cooler. Like the long-haired one in the first one is
I'd say
he looks
for
like
that
Benicio
franchise.
del Toro, and he's just disgusting to look at. So very good there. The one that couldn't breathe in the third one, incredible.
I just my thing is I don't think there's any ghost in the Conjuring universe that comes close to being iconic. Like, I'm sorry, the Crooked Man is like lame, cartoony, dumb. The Nun is effective the first moment you see it, but then never again. And that movie is god awful.
I mean,
I don't know.
you took your ending for Demon Night, and even then, it didn't work. What was the point of this movie I watched? The blood of Christ can't. What kind of demon is this? The blood of Christ? Nothing? Really? Okay. I'm sorry, but what else do you need to do?
Maybe it was a Hindu demon. He didn't really care about the blood of Christ.
Ooh, that's fun.
That is true.
The crosses and the nun image is just for show.
That almost sounds interesting, Lauren. Shut your mouth. Don't ever talk about it again.
Exactly.
I have to say, I rewatched it all. I watched the side movies. I watched both franchises.
That is.
So.
Are you feeling okay? Did you take your temperature before the show?
I watched.
I am picky. I try. I
watched
fresh.
I watched the base 7, and I'm sad about it. So Dan, I can't imagine what you're feeling. If you need to take the night off, you can. It's okay. Just.
It's not all bad. I did discover something. So most people would say The Nun is the worst out of all of them. You can bunch the franchises together. It is not. The worst is the first Annabelle.
Yes, it is.
That movie has nothing going for it. The parents are bland.
Wait, are you seriously saying beyond? It's worse than The Nun?
It is worse than.
I don't buy that now.
I'm not.
Annabelle, though, right?
Yeah.
I'm not
bad,
saying,
but it's generic bad. Like The Nun is just insulting.
See, at least The Nun has some. It's interesting to look at. I'll put it that way. It's a bad movie, but it's interesting to look at. The setting, 1950s Romania. I can at least. It's not as painful. Watching Annabelle again, the parents are bland. They're not good in that movie. Poorly written, no tension whatsoever. Barely anything happens in that movie. I don't understand how Annabelle became a thing.
I was so annoyed. I watched them. I don't remember. I watched them all one day, and the first one sucked. I didn't want to watch the second, but I did start it, and it was not awful.
Second's good, actually. Yeah,
it's one of the better in the universe, but whatever.
The universe.
That's
what gets me.
Yeah, it's
Conjuring.
It's disgusting.
Universe.
It's disgusting.
It is a universe. Thanos is going to show up.
They should have
Nun too.
I don't even remember La Llorona.
I didn't see that one.
I don't remember. So maybe I didn't see it, but if I did, don't remember. I feel like that would have to make it pretty bad.
The Annabelle films have one good one. It's Creation, the second one. La Llorona is very forgettable. The Nun's not very good. I mean, Insidious is weird because it kind of maintains a certain quality to it. There's a lot of goofy stuff.
There's not a big, I'll give them that. There's not a big dip in quality. However, when you're walking, on a fucking flat surface, you're usually going to be fine.
But Conjuring after that first film, and the second one's okay. It's not great, but they take a sharp downturn. Yeah. Conjuring is like I could care less about anything else in the Conjuring universe. Insidious, maybe they go out with a bang. It is a great vehicle for Lin Shaye, which how rare is that? A woman pushing 80 that is headlining a very popular horror franchise. And Insidious is a film too. You could go a few years earlier to Paranormal Activity, but that really ushered in that Blumhouse model. That first film cost less than $2 million, not counting advertising, obviously. That had a less than $2 million shooting budget, and it's a very influential film. Now, Blumhouse obviously also kind of went down.
Can we talk about the two stupid fucking dork assistants?
Thank you. With
every fucking no, don't you dare put them in the same breath.
Tucker and Specs?
It is. I fucking hate them so much.
No, Dan, their names are Bulk and Skull.
God damn it. It hurt me. I got angry my blood pressure must have spiked 200 at certain points.
They killed the movie.
They suck so bad.
I don't need this. I don't need your stupid comedy bits. I'm trying to be scared. That's why I'm here for this movie.
It's like it's the worst attempt at the lamest SNL sketch thrown into an otherwise very serious movie.
And Specs is just Jimmy Fallon corpsing.
Ugh.
I'm so glad that I've blocked this entire thing from my memory. This sounds terrible.
You're gonna get a spinoff, Tucker and Specs buddy comedy.
Oh,
paranormal buddy comedy.
I'm absolutely convinced they're just crossing these two franchises over into each other. That just makes way too much sense.
What, Conjuring and Insidious?
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Patrick Wilson, that's all he does now. Everything's haunted. Houses are haunted. The moon's haunted.
But wait, he's in both, right? Can they cross them over?
Yeah.
Can he play both characters?
It'll be some time hop.
I know there has to be time travel elements, but that I would watch.
Well, I will give them credit for they didn't recast the kid from the first film for the new one. They're like, the child actor hasn't done anything. No problem, bring him back. That's kind of cool.
That's fair. I only made it through. I did a rewatch of Insidious, and it was just flatter than a plate full of piss for me. And again, it's Specs and Tucker that are killing it for me also. But then 2 is wild because it was more entertaining for me to watch, but I was also Chris and I were screaming at the TV with the lack of logic. I'm sorry. I have a problem when your house or some realm is too haunted and you time travel because there are too many ghosts inside of you. That's where I draw the line. I'm done suspending my disbelief. It's not a matter of, Lin Shaye or anybody else going back and revisiting memories. I get that. That's fine. I have no problem with that happening. The problem I have is when you're enacting change in those memories, you're enacting that you're affecting the events that happened. That's when I get pissed off.
All I'm hearing is time travel. We can make this happen. Patrick Wilson.
So they're gonna Patrick Wilson. They're gonna do it.
It not only can you not suspend disbelief for that reason. Also, nobody dies. Nobody really gets close to dying. I get that the first one ended, but nothing else happens. No one's really ever in jeopardy. So I don't care. So
they don't want to break your heart.
Yeah,
it's very safe horror.
So then don't.
Yeah.
Who wants that? What's that? Like, who is that for?
Doesn't the mom in the third Insidious film get run over in the beginning of the film? And that scene that's in every movie, where just like someone's in the road talking and suddenly a truck hits them. Doesn't that happen?
It's the daughter, but yeah.
No, I feel like the mom's already dead, isn't she?
Yeah, Dermot Mulroney's
Yeah.
daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, third.
That was a thing for a while. Like every film had to hit a character on the road. If like any character was just walking near the road,
Just
randomly gonna get hit in some kind of Final Destination scene.
Well, it's the thing that Annabelle creation caught me immediately. It knew what it needed to do. Like, I guess it realized what a piece of shit the first one was. All right, well, we gotta just blow this child away.
That's funny too. Like it used
I'm
to be
sorry,
so forbidden to kill a child on screen. It used to be like a big taboo. Now it's like what people go to the movies for. That's it. You just have a compilation of children dying, and people will show up for that.
I prayed every night as a child.
But you know what's weird about that? Creation, solid film. Then you have Annabelle Comes Home, and we've got a CGI werewolf. It's like a 90s kids cartoon.
Whoa, werewolf. You got my attention.
Werewolf.
We got a werewolf.
Werewolf.
A film that's
do need to
purporting
watch
to be from real life stories.
Yeah. I don't know what they were doing with that. That felt like I don't know what was going on that they greenlit that, because it got so goofy. I mean, Annabelle Comes Home feels like a totally separate film that has nothing to do with the Conjuring universe.
You add a laugh track to that movie, and someone will think it's a Wayans brother parody.
Get on that.
It's a Goosebumps episode, and some people like it for that reason, but that's what it is. It's a Goosebumps movie.
Oh, Mom and Dad left me at home with all the haunted toys.
We're going to have pizza and play with the devil.
We're going to have a sleepover, and I hope my dumb friend isn't going to go into the room that's double locked. That's literally what happens in the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that I remember being feeling like everyone liked that when it came out, and I was like I felt like I was all alone being like, this sucks.
honey, it'll be fine. 2 locks.
2 locks. They put a handwritten sign on Annabelle's box that says "Do not open."
No.
That's kind of like guaranteeing someone's going to open that thing up.
Can't you just get into your parents' liquor cabinet instead?
Dude, simple. Take that same box, fill it with concrete.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to get rid of the fucking doll, there's a better way to do it than put it behind glass.
Oh, Jesus.
But Raiho, it belongs in a museum.
Oh, absolutely. It's such an attractive doll.
We must tell these stories.
Okay, so I need all of you to answer 2 questions as we work out of this portion of the episode. First is, Ed and Lorraine, frauds are real. This shouldn't take long. And the second side is, which of the franchises do you ultimately come down as better? Let's start with Steak.
I'm going to say fraud because I don't believe anyone about anything. I'm paranoid, and that's okay. At least, they made money, and I can't really fault them for that. At least I hope they did.
Well, they did.
And I'm going to have to go Conjuring. Even with all the shitty side movies, the main 3 I would put as better, just on the whole. They do a better job of, I don't know, making me tense, at least, if not scared. So I'm going with The Conjuring for sure.
All right. Raiho.
They're definitely shysters. They played everybody, and they made a lot of money at it, I think, or at least I hope they did. I don't know. Their house didn't look that fancy. But I have to say Conjuring because I can barely remember Insidious. And I can kind of remember The Conjuring. So I got to go with that one.
Dan.
Definitely full of crap. If you really want to look into it, the author Ray Garton, who wrote a book for them to do with the haunting in Connecticut case, said legit they would be interviewing this family, and he'd be with Ed off to the side, and he'd give him like this P.T. Barnum, like a sucker's born every minute kind of comment. And I believe Ray Garton. It's one of my favorites, and I'm not saying there's nothing to potentially Paranormal Activity, but I think the Warrens were, let's just say, 99% full of crap.
Sam. Oh, wait. Which do you prefer as a franchise?
Oh, I'm sorry. So as a franchise, I have to give it to Insidious as a whole because they have maintained a certain level of quality. Don't think they're classic films, but I think The Conjuring, the first one, is better than anything in the Insidious franchise. So Insidious overall, and that's just because Conjuring's shot out more crappy side films, and the third film was not good from The Conjuring.
I don't know. I think I got to say all that baggage still doesn't pull that first movie down to the level of Insidious. It's just me. You have a hat, so you have an opinion. I get it.
As a whole, but Conjuring is the best of any of the movies. The first Conjuring.
Sam.
Absolute frauds. And between the two franchises, I'm gonna have to give it to The Conjuring, even though I do agree with you, Dan, that the amount of absolute crap that's come out of it, that's definitely a big problem. And I haven't seen all of the rest of the Insidious movies because Insidious Part 2 was such a weird, hot mess, but it was also infuriating in parts. But at the same time, I look at the first one, and it's not doing anything to make me scared, which is essentially what I want out of a horror movie. At least something, right? I want to have some emotional reaction. If I want to go and laugh at something, there are 100 different stand-up specials I could be watching. The only thing that although I will give the first Insidious movie this. I did like the part where Patrick Wilson's character is in the further at the end, and then he basically I don't know if it's he throws the Glenn Danzig ghost off a ledge, but it's just like a whole that's my purse, I don't know you. I mean, I'll allow that can stay. That's okay. But that whole first movie is not really watchable at all. And at least in the second Conjuring movie, which I like both of them almost equally, but the second Conjuring movie actually made me feel like there might be stakes. Like maybe Ed's gonna die. And it did give me, it did kind of, make me get the little oh, they're so cute together. And I hope Ed doesn't die and all this shit, right? At least I can give it that. So score 1 for The Conjuring on me.
Okay.
So there's a Blumhouse film called Dark Skies. That's a kind of cheesy
Is that
alien. Yeah,
I saw that.
That's an
aliens are
abduction.
going to
I've seen
abduct
that,
one
yeah.
of these twins kind of movie. That's
Yeah.
better than either of these franchises, and it's not a great film. Blum has always had problems. I think they figured out the Corman format to make films, make them cheap, keep them in their locations very small, have a number of characters very minute, make them 6 or less characters, one shooting location, and get it done, get it shot inside 3 weeks. Get it done, get it out there for a few $1 million. You can't lose. Give them massive props for that because I do think that's the way to make a horror movie. But goddamn, do they have to keep making the same movie over and over and over and over? It's just it's like the Purge thing, whereas they just we'll put it on a bigger canvas with slightly bigger budget every time, but it's the same damn movie.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the problem with comparing these franchises is that it's all kind of the same. It's kind of like Campbell's chicken noodle soup and Campbell's chicken and stars.
That's
At the end of the day, you might prefer one for sentimental reasons. Hey, I grew up eating chicken and stars. But is it really better? I don't know about that. You're not going to beat a Jersey Diner's chicken noodle soup that's been reheated for half a week. You're not going to do it. So
Stop a bullet.
It's
rich and feed you.
Yeah,
for a month.
But it's also going to be unforgettable. So to me, you look at something like Poltergeist 2: The Other Side, a flawed film. I hate the end. I hate the last 10 minutes of that movie, but I love the rest of the movie. Right. So that's a very good analog to The Conjuring, which is a film that I'm generally okay until the big dumb possession / exorcism scene at the end, which is absolutely dreadful. But the difference is I can watch Poltergeist 2 at the drop of a hat. You'd have to pay me to watch The Conjuring again. So I can't really say that I have any great stakes in it. I'll give it to Insidious because you want to know what I think. Actually, The Lost Key is actually a pretty good film. I think I had fun with it. I liked the characters. It did feel like it had stakes, and it had some great set pieces. cool. It also feels like it didn't start out life as an Insidious film, so there's that.
Yeah.
But
So
it sounds like Conjuring won this on a 3-2 basis, but I think in reality the viewers really lost.
What is everyone's favorite Insidious movie? Just or like what was the least shitty of the bunch?
So far,
There's
it's
one you
2 for
said
me.
before. 2 for you,
I
Dan.
have plot problems with 2.
1 and 2 are close, but I'd have to go 1. Yeah,
I would go
probably.
3. Like I don't know. I like the that main one there, one that couldn't breathe. Like it was interesting looking.
Oh,
it caught me a bunch of times. Right, the 3's the one with the girl, and and she's walking around with the broken legs.
Yeah, no,
I
that's the
almost
film. That's the Last Key. That's the film I like.
That's the last. Oh, okay, that's the 3rd.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they're all
Last
stupid.
Last
I
Key
hate-
is
I hate the
Last
name.
Oh,
Key
is that 4? Okay.
Yeah.
That is okay. Oh, okay.
I'm not going to seem upset that I didn't get the numbering
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, that's a cool movie, right?
Yeah,
That's why I watched them
agree
all
with
for
that
you
one.
guys. Fact checking.
Why isn't there a box set on Blu-ray? Dan.
I don't understand why there's not. Probably going to be a 4K set with the new one coming out, is my guess.
I think
That's
it has
what
been
I'm
announced
assuming.
actually, but it's amazing that it's gone this long and you have to buy them individually if you wanted them. Because this is exactly the kind of franchise that I can't imagine people wanting to buy them individually. Like if you're going to buy it at all, you just want the whole thing and be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going back and rebuying Insidious on 4K. I'm okay.
All right. Where are the memorable genre music scores?
In the 1970s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember things like, Jaws or The Exorcist using tubular bells, or Halloween with John Carpenter's basic synth score, or the original Friday the 13th faux orchestral strings, even Philip Glass's Candyman score. What's the last time we actually had a genre score that seems that iconic? And why aren't we getting them anymore?
I'm not gonna. I mean, I was listening to the Candyman score earlier, and for me, I realized like it's actually very relaxing. For the most part, there are a couple of areas where it gets like very large and orchestral, and which is great because it makes the movie feel bigger than it is. It makes it feel like it's almost it. I have like end of the world vibes from it, just listening to it by itself without the context of the film. But I was also listening to the Saw score from the first movie because the end, Hello Zep, the end. Yeah, the end track. Everybody knows that, but I thought I'd go back and I'd listen to the whole thing. And it's so grimy and industrial and deconstructed. And that was excellent working music, to be fair. You could just have that on in the background, and if you're just doing some sort of mindless activity, it gets you right through there.
The only problem with something like that is you can't hum it later.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
you have to da-da-da.
You gotta da-da-da.
Da-da-da.
That works.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Sam.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of my music critique is like, that was good to listen to. Yeah. So, but I would put Saw on the memorable genre scores.
Yeah, for sure. I'd put it up there too. It's funny because I was looking at my favorites and none are really recent. I mean, Candyman, of course, Philip Glass, Hellraiser, Christopher Young is my all-time favorite. Near Dark, Tangerine Dream. I mean, my God. I did find a few that I thought were good. In fact, one film that I think you're a fan of, Sam, and it's the most recent one that I thought had a really good score was Come True. The Electric Youth and Pilot Priest, I believe it was, did the score for that. There's some good music in it as well.
Yeah.
That's one I came up with that I remember being memorable. Berberian Sound Studio from 2012. Then it kind of like it starts going back further and further. But I remember Berberian Sound Studio is a very unique movie. And I think it was Broadcast was like this electronic band that did that one, and it's a very memorable score. Other than that, Cure for Wellness, Benjamin Wallfish, that's a really good score. But they're few and far between. Berberian Sound Studio's over a decade old now too, so you don't get it very often.
I think the question is like, why are we not having the focus on these scores? Why are we getting the same kind of cut and paste, loud crash, kind of humming strings, or discordant, just discordant noise scores? Why is that like everything now?
I don't know. Like maybe I'm wrong, but like it feels like the track like is, I don't know, a footnote instead of like a main piece to the story. You know, you got your script, you got your photography, you've got all that. It feels like some of these movies that are coming out, especially when they have a low budget or a lower budget, that's not the most important thing to them, and not enough. You know what I mean? Like, so they don't get a composer to actually sit there and, you know, put together a string section and actually record some music. Like they're doing it on a computer. They're probably doing it as quick as dirty as they can. I feel like it's become not as important to them. Because you guys named some soundtracks there that I don't know, and some that I think are really good too. But again, I go back to like Psycho and things like that. Like you can, like when you think about that movie, the first thing you think about isn't everything else. It's the soundtrack. It's the music. Because it was such an important piece to it, and somebody took the time to like actually think about something that was heart pounding and thoughtful. And now I feel like there's like, I think about like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but ever since like It Follows and like Drive came out, like there's this like synthwave boom, and not like good synthwave sometimes. Like it's just, they're just trying to evoke a feeling of maybe like that time period, which is what a lot of the synthwave music does in general anyway, I guess. But it doesn't make for a memorable or a good soundtrack. It sounds okay, and you listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, you know, I like the feeling of this or something like that. But it's not the right kind of, you know, not the right kind of score for a film. I don't know. Maybe
that was like about the only point that I could land on with this. Is just, I know like that was cool in the moment watching It Follows. That's like the only movie that came to mind, but I couldn't hum you and like, you know, hum it. I have no recollection in my head now. I only watched it a couple weeks ago, like again, so it's relatively fresh in my head, but and that one,
nothing. I'm not trashing it either. Like I do like the soundtrack to It Follows, and I've listened to a lot of the songs that are in Drive, like repeatedly. I do like the music, but it's basically like putting pop songs in the soundtrack to me. Like it's not the same as actually sitting down and writing a good score. And and It Follows doesn't land in that same category as much, because it is like there is some actual like original pieces in there and all that. But
and it's like, I don't know if maybe this is an appropriate time to hit the, you know, in case of emergency on the just technology is ruining things. But it does seem like we're like the rise of, I mean, Pro Tools is mostly obsolete at this point, but the programs that have taken its place. I'm stupid, but I have a vague idea of what I'm trying to say here. So follow me. You know, with the rise in technology, it's much simpler to go, okay, it's a formula now to make this music. That's what it's supposed to be. Instead of someone messing around with a guitar, bass, whatever, you're on the drums. Shit music comes from everywhere, you know? So piano, instruments, right, guys? Let's calm down here.
It's amazing how somebody could never have seen Psycho or Jaws, but that score is just in the pop culture realm for everybody. I've heard my nephew knows that he's never probably watched a real horror movie, and he knows the Psycho theme. He'll hum it at Halloween. You don't really have anything, to be honest, that has hit that level. I know Robert Eggers was name dropped in the chat. There are good examples of good scores out there. I personally like Benjamin Wallfish, I believe is how you say his name. But nobody manages to be iconic anymore. Maybe just modern horror fans don't really listen to scores. I don't know.
I think the approach is all wrong now. So let's go back to Psycho for a second. I'm going to hit a lot of the major things we hit real fast, right? So Psycho, the quick strings, the violins, right? Right? it perfectly times you and becomes a memory imprint of the stabbing in the shower. The violin strings are the knife, right?
Yeah.
Clearly. Jaws, it's the shark's heartbeat. Period. It gets faster as the shark is getting excited. It's coming to eat you. Okay? Halloween, we're not going to put Michael Myers on screen very often, but we're going to feel him all the time with a simple refrain that's used constantly to let you know he's around, right? So when he's not around, you tend to get those piano drops, the ba, ba, right? But when he's there, bum, 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 right? So the substitution is used to put the character on screen when it's not. Obviously, the in Friday the 13th, the killer's around, right? So when you get to like modern cinema, they're no longer really trying to have the music interact and let the experience revolve around it. It's not being woven into the story. It's being laid over so that the jump scare gets its appropriate jagged, loud pop, and the audience goes, oh! But there's nothing after that. To me, I'm not a Nightmare on Elm Street fan outside the first film, but the first film's just that simple. Again, it's a keyboard. It's nothing complex. Bah, 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 right? It reminds you of the nursery rhyme, but it also kind of hints we're dreaming. We're not okay now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's how they're using this stuff. I don't think that these musicians are not talented. I don't think that they're bad composers. I think they're being asked to make sure they get the audience reactions rather than be part of the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? For my
Oh no, that makes a great deal of sense. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna end it with something weird, right? Because this is not horror, but you know what the last truly great score to a film was? That second Tron movie.
I've been thinking that since we started. I didn't want to bring it up because it's not genre.
So
I listened to that soundtrack on a loop for like months.
It's great as pop music, but it's perfect for Tron. Yeah. For that world, it is absolutely what Tron would sound like. Mm-hmm. So Daft Punk were the last people I think that truly nailed a score, like the way with what we're talking about, the way that like the Godfather score, right? But it's been a long time, right?
So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Reho.
Oh, I wasn't really going to say anything except agree. The only thing I was going to say was I talked at the start about like, you know, how I felt like, you know, you need to have somebody that's actually like bringing in a string section, things like that, but you don't need all that. And I bailed on, like, I was like kind of ragging on synthwave, but a synthesizer is a powerful kind of tool because you can make so many different sounds with it. And I think about some of like Fabio Frizzi's stuff.
Oh yeah,
like that guy was making songs up like on set. You know what I mean? Lucio's like, I like the sounds of that. Record it. You know what I mean? Like, so, and like, you know, he's got nothing but like a keyboard with a couple of sound effects on it, and he makes memorable scores. I mean, when you listen, if you watch enough of those movies, you start to like kind of bop to that shit. So I didn't mean to like rag on synthwave, I guess, or synthesizer music or anything like that. I think it's really what Lorne got down to there. It's like actually trying to not make the music just a footnote or background sound or the jump scare. It's like, you put it perfectly, it's a character. It's a main part of the film that you know that you think about just as much as anything else.
The Haunting of Julia's score is a perfect example. If you guys have not checked that movie out now that it's reemerged finally from the dark corners of obscurity, it's just Colin Towne's score is so the movie. It's I cannot imagine the movie any other way. I cannot imagine The Shining without its use of Penderecki, for instance. Right? So I think that like it doesn't even have to be original music. It just has to be iconic. It has to be right, and it has to be used to tell the story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
I have a question regarding this whole thing, because I guess as a background information, I used to watch a lot of anime when I was in high school, and I also had a lot of anime scores. You know, not just the soundtracks, but the scores themselves. And I would listen to the scores a lot, and it wasn't, for me at that time, it wasn't a matter of that actually, I think that there's a way to make a score strong enough so that it can stand on its own, where you may not actually need it to have any sort of tie into the media that you're watching, if that makes sense, right? You can appreciate the music on its own. Is that something that you guys notice with horror scores as well? Can there just be scores on their own that stand, or do you need to have that tied into the movie itself? Like, do you need to have those memories being evoked when you're listening to that music? And I'm wondering, like, how does that balance, right, when we're taking into account memorable scores?
So when you hear Wagner's Ring trilogy, is there any of us that don't think of Apocalypse Now immediately?
I've never seen it.
So
I'm useless.
I think that there are those perfect uses that are just hard to escape. Yeah.
Honestly, Sam, if you did see it, like, you would be nodding the same way as everybody else. It is like, I don't know, it's like this perfect marriage of like visual and audio at the same time. I don't know. And that's so I think you made a great point too. I have listened to a lot of anime scores too over time. Yeah, if you can sit down and listen to something, just the audio, like that's a huge deal. Like I did do that with Tron Legacy a lot. I don't know if it necessarily has to evoke the memory of it sometimes, but it certainly, if it can stand on its own, that's a huge piece of the puzzle for sure. If I sat down and listened to the Saw, like I know you were talking about Saw there, I don't want to rag on it, but I would have no idea I was listening to a Saw soundtrack. Like I would just have, to me, it would just be bangs and noises. Like, you know what I mean?
This is that Nine Inch Nails side project.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is literally what it is. But
Yeah.
I think that so we tend to forget how important music used to be. For instance, John Williams made Star Wars. Okay. Mm-hmm. People don't realize that soundtrack went platinum. That there's a reason, Yeah. I guarantee if he hadn't ripped off Holst for the Darth Vader theme, I don't even know if we think of Darth Vader the way we think of Darth Vader today. It was an essential part of storytelling. I don't have the history with anime, but everyone knows that I do watch a lot of Indian cinema where music plays a much more important role. Mm-hmm. Sometimes to the benefit and sometimes to the extreme cringe. Depends on the film. Game Over, one of my favorite films, has an amazing score. Problem is, it's not going to be iconic in America because the film's not going to be iconic in America. I think there's other countries where you are seeing scores that are quite a bit better. Hollywood is just in a lazy moment. But I think they could help turn the page, right? And get us back on track if they would just start to embrace all the elements of storytelling and not think of it as product quite as much. Mm-hmm. And ironically, that'll make it product. They'll go platinum with a soundtrack if they don't treat it like a product to be sold as a soundtrack.
And do you think it's just like the right musician, composer, like coming to the table? Like, is it that like all these composers go to school now and they come out and they're ready to put audio to visual? Like, because you know what I mean? There's colleges all over the place where you can kind of study that sort of thing now. And they're not that they're bad musicians, not that they're bad at writing songs, but they've been taught how to do it. Like maybe it takes somebody that kind of breaks the mold a little bit, that like a John Williams. Holy shit. Like how many movies has that guy scored that are like you think about all the time? And it's not even that he's doing anything that's like, I don't know, it still sounds like classical music to me, but he just had his own way of doing it that's iconic. Like we need somebody, maybe an icon or somebody that just breaks the mold a little bit to come along and score a film and kind of remind people, wake them up.
So it's interesting because like I think like I am a early Nine Inch Nails fan in a big way, but like I tried to listen to the Social Network soundtrack and I was like, it's not there for me. So I think it's the right musician, not necessarily a great musician, but the right musician might be how I would put it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to close that out. I think that was an amazing discussion. But
some
we
good
have to do
picks in the chat too, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
They're always better than we are. Don't fool yourself.
The show should really just be a screen cap of the chat.
That's what we're working towards. Like the we read your mail segment will just get longer and longer.
Yeah, that's absolutely what the July episode is.
Just roll it Star Wars style, and we'll just talk over the chat. Just no video, nothing. Just.
But we have a thing to do now. So this is the brief trivia portion of the show. It's not going to be questions this time. Instead, it's going to be a still from a film, and we get to try and figure out what that is. Obviously, I know because I put it together. But this is not for us really even. It's for you guys out in the chat. So scream out your answers. You're not breaking any rules. First up. Any guesses, guys?
Oh, we get to guess. I misunderstood.
You get to guess. Everyone gets to play.
Okay.
They live.
That's not right.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
it's not. Is there? It's no.
I only think of Evelyn. I'm terrible.
Cat people.
She's looking a little too.
Is this the third Roseanne Halloween?
You're closer. You're closer than anyone else.
They killed her off, and that's who they replaced her with.
That actually makes some sense, though.
You know, this is like, I am not good at this stuff. It can be a movie I've seen 1,000 times, and images don't always.
Yes,
I mean, it is Meg Foster. Yes, I'm just trying to place it.
Big Mo.
Jeff has it. Stepfather 2 is correct.
Yeah, she's been in like 10,000 movies.
Oh.
Give me a second. Hey, Sam, can you help me get that comment off the screen? Because apparently I can't do two things at once.
I'm not logged into the studio, so no.
Oh, so no. Okay.
So no. We might just be... Okay.
Here we go. Ready?
Oh, I can't say it. Oh, no.
Behave.
Trog
is correct.
Trog.
You have to go to Trog. If you haven't seen Trog, Trog is a really messed up film.
No.
Say it, Steak.
I can't say it. I can't. I won't.
Nope. This one is.
It's my first sleepover.
I didn't take the movie yet. I have nothing to blame it on.
This is a very, very misleading still. Anyone out in the chat have a hit?
Is this Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
they putting something in the Laffy Taffy, I guess. I don't know.
It's exploding Laffy Taffy.
Okay.
That's the Pop Rocks room. Get out of there.
I don't think anyone's going to get this. This is the Horror of Party Beach.
Oh, God. Oh, see, I'm not.
It looks like they're indoors. Where's the beach?
Have you seen the movie?
Obviously not.
Yeah. Hopefully, I see that Raiho's having a little bit of technical issues. Hopefully, he can jump back because we're going to completely lose all of our sponsorship if he's not on, because I tied all the money up into getting him on the show tonight. So the next episode might have a much lower budget if we can't pull this off.
Got to take a.
They're going to take my lights.
Tortilla.
All right, so bam.
Yes.
The Weird Circle, the Wooden Ghost. So in the 1940s, especially wartime 40s, the radio was the center of the living room for basically all families. There was a variety of entertainment on a lot of audio plays. This is pre-television for most people. So there was a lot of anthology shows where they tell a story this week and next week it'd be a completely different story. It wasn't continuing. Weird Circle was not the first horror show. It wasn't, and it certainly wasn't the best known. Inner Sanctum was probably the best known, or the original version of Thriller, which eventually made its way to television. Yeah. But Weird Circle is the one that adapted the most classic horror literature for the radio format. And because I'm a cruel, cruel bastard, I forced the panel to listen to an episode. Actually, an episode based on the great LeFanu story, The Wooden Ghost. Uh-oh. Dan's going to pull up like
Puke.
Fanu's skull.
Oh, there's more,
Look,
but
hair.
that's actually what I
He
grabbed.
has a book.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
It is
Only
good
he
stuff.
could read.
The curse. They look pretty. I like to collect them.
That cat is hiding an open skull.
This is the ring that Fanu was buried wearing. That's the kind of stuff I expect Dan to pull out of his pocket.
It's funny. I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't really listened to a lot of horror radio from this period, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't. Turning the lights out and just being there is such an experience. It's different from watching a movie. It's just very unique, and I know that's something that is kind of lost on my generation and pretty much most anybody at this point, because Weird Circle Radio, I've always been a fan. They ran, I think, 43 to 45, and there's like 78 episodes. I know they've done Poe adaptations, a lot of really good stuff, and it's hard to beat that atmosphere. There's just something about it. A rainy night, turn the lights out, and just let this and this one's 27 minutes. Actually, I'll try and get the link so you guys that want to listen to it. 27 minutes, and it is just brilliant. This was like a little bit lower budget versus Inner Sanctum and some of the other things you were mentioning. There's very minimal music, but it's just such good stuff. And when you read LeFanu or others, it's also, I think, cool for younger fans to see where all the things you love come from, because LeFanu predated Lovecraft, and you're really getting
predated Stoker. I mean, Carmilla is the basis. That's what got Stoker interested in telling a vampire story. So
yeah, there would be no Dracula without Carmilla. And yeah, this is just an amazing radio, and it's all over YouTube. Not just this, but Inner Sanctum. Yeah,
there's like 80 different channels that just have all of them.
Yeah,
it's gotta suck for the family that worked on this. Like, oh, cool, thanks for getting all of nothing. But let's. What are you going to do at this point, I guess? Personally, I had a lot of fun with it. I happened to have to work an overnight at my job, which is just a big, old house. I'm pretty sure it was involved in the Underground Railroad or whatever. Like the whole, the counties that I'm in currently were pretty big on that, because we're not far from Canada. And the nice north. Real sweet. We'll just ignore you. But never mind. Nothing. Everything's fine. America's the best. We love it. We love it.
You love
acting
Canada
was
more.
less than ideal though. But like this old house is big, and like Dan said, that whole the rainy night kind of vibe. It all just worked. It's 2-3 in the morning. They listened to this thing, and everything was hitting. Acting aside, but it did make me realize that women have been just running dorks' pockets for centuries.
Well, yeah, we were.
Which is, by all means, do what you got to do. Like I said earlier, I'm all about making money. In most cases, it's great. It made me laugh because it's like, God damn, he really just gave his, tell me you love me. Maybe not everyone here knows, but I spent many years as a bouncer for a no-go bar. So the amount of times that I've seen essentially that same story play out is like, I don't know the number, to be totally honest with you. It might be something that we've not heard of yet.
Were any of them struck by lightning after that?
Yeah.
Oh,
all of them.
I've got this image of
one of them
just
put
gorilla
up with a box
pressing
cutter
a guy.
once.
Oh wow.
But
okay.
He was
I got cut with a box cutter at a ministry show.
Yeah,
that's true.
Oh shit! He was a very old man, and he lost a lot of money.
I'm picturing you just beating this guy down, and then at the end, it was a wooden sword.
Oops.
So Sam, what was your experience?
I mean, I really enjoyed the atmospheric touch to it, of course. And radio plays are obviously huge blind spot. Mostly anything that's pre-70s is just one giant void. It's one giant blind spot. And I don't care what media that really falls into. I did quite enjoy it. It reminded me of Beauty and the Beast a bit. Since basically so the Wooden Ghost's name, I'm sorry, like the transcription on YouTube was not helping me at all. I kept switching
as far as I could tell, it was like shrish.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, yeah.
What was it? Yeah. Bell pepper something? Bell pepper haunting?
Yeah, I call it, yeah. There was the ghost of the wooden bell pepper, yeah. So I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the wooden ghost himself. And I've already lost my train of thought because I'm thinking about food. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I had fajitas earlier and I'm hungry again.
That's my problem.
I'm always hungry. Yes, I know. I'm just like the Incredible Bulk. So it reminded me of Beauty and the Beast because the wooden ghost is literally just trying to escape this curse. Now, I essentially that's where the similarities somewhat end, because the wooden ghost is not really emotionally invested in Rose. He's just pissed that he can't move on because her bitch of a grandmother betrayed him, and he had to wait 300 years to go and free himself. Also, I want to know, where'd all that gold come from? Is he just stealing is he just stealing all the coins off of everybody's eyelids that are crossing the sticks?
Well, I'm just amazed that he played such a long game. You think about it, I was like, as a kid, he was setting this up for a while.
Also, why does it have to be? Okay, back in the day, I'm pretty sure the age of consent wasn't necessarily always 18. Like you could marry
currently in Jersey.
Was this in New Jersey?
Could be. I don't think so.
So I mean, yeah, I'm actually surprised it took him that long.
He was a very gentlemanly ghost. He even sent a freaking coach. Come on.
True. But yeah, I pretty much had an idea of where this was going to begin with, because she's mentioning it that he's, that this the wooden ghost has left money for her birthday every year, and there's a really good joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to get to it. I'm sure Stig will pick it right up though. But I was like, it's a dowry.
Yeah. I was just kind of thinking that maybe this was like a preemptive commentary on the horrors of Hollywood. Just seems like something maybe Corey Feldman time traveled and wrote a story. I don't know. I did some reading. There are some theories out there.
You did some reading?
No, that's not
true. Why?
Well, I have the accessibility thing enabled on my phone. It reads it too.
Yeah.
That is the most annoying thing, by the way. I have to turn that off of like 8 different phones every day. Oh, God.
Raiho, do you ever had any experience with radio drama like this?
Not like this. I actually don't know why I never even considered to look into anything like this before. When you sent me the link, I don't know what I was expecting. You hadn't really talked about the fact that it might not be modern. I didn't know what I was clicking on, and then I was surprised by how much I really, really enjoyed it. I think Dan mentioned earlier the simplicity of it. There's really no music, I think, except for maybe in the opening and the ending. The sound effects are I'm sure that there's some guy holding 2 coconuts behind them, clop, 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 clop. But it played out really well. Yeah, the acting's a little cheesy, but you have to frame it with 1940s mindset. They had to ham that stuff up quite a bit, especially on radio. I mean, you got nothing there visually. Yeah, I was actually really into it. but I like I said, like when you first sent it, I don't know why, I just assumed it would be something modern. But then I started thinking about like what would be an analog to this today. Like I couldn't really pinpoint anything. The only thing I could think of is something I listen to occasionally. I don't even listen to it all the time. Is Radio Rental. Do you guys ever listen to something like that or?
No.
So Radio Rental's it's a podcast essentially. It's created by Tenderfoot TV. They do a lot of big like true crime podcasts and stuff like that. It's kind of a weird side project for them, I think, in a way, because it's sort of like a blending of true crime stories, but told like basically through like actors, I think. And it's framed almost like an anthology. There's this character who's like he runs a video store, and he like people come in and he's got a special box of tapes under the counter that have these other stories, and then he'll like kind of open them up and close them. And I think after the first season, they actually have Rainn Wilson plays the video store clerk guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. And it's not something I listen to all the time, but I've listened to it occasionally, and I've always been kind of confused. Is it actually true crime stories, or is it because some of the stuff is supernatural and sort of things like that? So I guess it's sort of one of those things where it's, you know, it's true stories maybe, but it kind of sometimes it plays out a little bit like kind of like an audio drama. Sometimes it's just somebody, I think, like relaying their tale, but it's the closest thing I could think of that I've listened to in modern times anyway.
In England, there's a lot of audio dramas on CD and now on MP3 for like their television shows, like Blake Seven and Doctor Who, that kind of thing. Never really translated to America, except in one very odd place that I was completely unaware of. But then on a road trip, I stopped at a rest stop, but a rest stop specifically for truck drivers, which I didn't realize when I pulled into it. And there was this rack of I thought they were book on CD, but it turns out there was just audio dramas for truck drivers, and they're all like these very masculine action heroes things where they lifted artwork off of movie posters and stuff for the packaging. It's like, obviously it's a very small industry, but it serves a very specific clientele. If you're gonna be on the road for 8 hours a day or something, I guess this makes sense.
Flowing.
Yeah, we got to stay awake, so you got to hear about the babes and the guns.
True. Yeah. So as far as the BBC, just I think it's the BBC. I found myself enjoying. There's a YouTube channel that apparently there was a whole Tales from the Crypt radio series over there, with like pretty decent named actors in most of them, and they're pretty fantastic. I can't remember. I'd love to give a shout out to the channel, but I can't remember it because I'm a pile of garbage. But I'll share them on Twitter if you want to go follow me over here. I'll get it right one day. Right there. There we go. Beautiful.
I will say that. So I did grow up on. There used to be on cassette. There used to be old radio dramas that would be out there for sale, and my parents actually had bought a few for me. I didn't have many, but they were in a sanctum in particular, and so I have a little bit of connection there. But I think they bought them because they wanted them, and I was the excuse. Really,
maybe Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, I think, still sells some of the old.
There was not a Cracker Barrel around me when I was a kid because I'm ancient. Okay, thanks for that.
I thought that predated you, Lauren. I was not sure.
No, nothing except maybe like the late Pleistocene. But so I mean, I've always been kind of okay with that. Like the idea of an audio drama is okay. And I did have vinyl records of scary stories as a kid, and I wish I still did because they all sell on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money. But God knows, in a move, I probably just gave them away or broke them or something. But yeah, no. What I was thinking when I thought of doing this really was the fact that, you know, we complain so often that things aren't as good as whatever you consider the golden age of the horror genre is, whether that's the 70s for you or the 80s, or some people it's the 90s or even the 2000s. But it tends to be very recent periods. I mean, I'm the odd guy who likes the 30s, but and I was just thinking, like, there was a time when people's expectations were on themselves rather than on the special effects on screen. Like they were relying more on their imaginations to flesh out the rest of the picture. And it had to be a liberating time, because I don't think any of it was about the story and the characters and the performances, right? It was not about like something at surface level as the special effects. So it allowed every film to look like Star Wars in 1977, right? Like every film could be as amazing, or every radio drama could be as amazing as you wanted it to be, as long as they didn't drop the ball on something like the performances, which again, the performances are very much of their time. They're very vaudeville. That's okay. To me, it would almost be weird if they were modern. To tell these type of stories anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed with the radio plays, it's a lot easier for them to keep my attention. And it's not just necessarily just the fact that they're 30 minutes at a time. Because I've tried listening to audiobooks and I can't fucking do it to save my life. Like, it just doesn't work. I'm not a person.
Work for me either. That's so strange.
You've got to find good ones. So, like, most comedians will read their own, so those will be interesting. And a lot of them won't just read it. They'll like Doug Stanhope's is a whole production. Mike Rainey just it's a whole thing. So those are cool. But the Pet Cemetery one is awesome. He plays Dexter. I don't know the guy's name, but he reads it and he's fantastic.
Oh,
like he that one is worth giving a shot to at least. But yeah, like a lot of times it's just some nasally old dork, dryly reading, and it's like, okay, I don't. I'll just read the book then. Thank you.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's on me because it's just like for me. It's really difficult to take in information when someone's speaking it, and for me to retain it. It's just easier for me in general to retain information that's on the written page. Hence why I was also, wanting to look up the transcript because I was like, maybe I missed something just on the off chance. This one didn't lose my attention though. And I felt like but I also feel like everybody was actually, putting forth an effort to keep you engaged.
It moved along nice. I think it also helps. It's a simple story. Just they didn't fuck around going, oh, we got to get into character development. It's like, all right, it's 30 minutes. Let's pay something off. And it was cool. I did like the sound design on it because like Brian said, there wasn't much music, but like the like the coconuts or whatever, like it was just like it took me a second to realize it was there or what it was. And what the fuck? I think it did help kind of pull you into oh shit, that guy. That's what that was.
Yeah. Also, I was thinking, the way they describe the wooden ghost. You can't see his face, and I was just thinking, the fact that he's like a wooden statue. All I could think of were the artists of mannequins, the little ones that you pose. So when you're sketching things, you can figure
the Robax is that guy.
Yeah.
But then at the beginning, when they're talking about the hat, I was just thinking about Dan. I was like, is Dan the wooden ghost?
We should just record it with cast us all. I can be the wooden ghost.
Listen, I've had talks with a couple folks about putting some more of those together.
I'm totally down. That would be a blast.
It's funny. Obviously, Le Fanu was extraordinarily influential, so that's its own thing. But this type of drama, though, I mean, you'd have to modernize some dialogue or whatever. But I don't think this is that far as far as like an experience is that far from something like Session 9. That would be like kind of the modern analog to me to something like this. A quiet ghost story in a way, but built on character and setting and mood. I'm wondering if a story like this could be adapted to a film and keep what makes it so important. And maybe this radio drama could even be sort of a template. Obviously, some things have to change. But maybe it's what we need. We talked to this opening of the episode about the Insidious and Conjuring films. And like, I think in 27 minutes, the radio drama just destroyed both those franchises.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is funny. Sam mentioned, like, I don't like being read to, but I love horror radio dramas. I don't know what that is. I've never done an audiobook in my life, but I do love horror radio. There's nothing quite like it. The film experience is very different. So.
I know that there's not something people like to talk about these days, but Bill Cosby actually had an old comedy bit about listening to horror radio, and it's one of the smallest pieces. It's called The Chicken Heart in his entire repertoire, but it was kind of a classic comedy bit for many years when you could still breathe the name Bill Cosby without having someone scream at you. And it's just, I wonder, like, that was still relevant to the culture in the early 70s, enough that he could make a joke that would still land with people. So it seems that since the 70s to now, things have changed. I don't know if you could really get a popular movement into audio drama horror.
I'd like
to think it could.
Like, podcasts have never. I mean, I can't believe how many there are and how popular they are. So I think it is trickier because it's an audio drama. It's a story. It's like people just want to watch. They just want to turn on Netflix and like glaze over. But I think if there was ever a time to do it, it would be kind of now to make a stab at it, because there's a lot of people that are looking for things to listen to, and there's only so many true crime podcasts. There's somebody that's doing it right now, and I think it's called Dracula. I think it's like they're doing like pieces of Dracula, like as an audio drama on. I think it's on like Twitter or something like that, and so they're just dropping. Like every week they drop another portion of Dracula. I haven't checked it out yet, but that definitely piqued my interest. So that'd be something that maybe to check out.
Yeah, it's like a page a day from the journal. Yeah, I've heard really good things about that.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Awesome. So, kids, are we done with possession movies?
I've been done. I'm done.
This is another one that like did we really make a subgenre just trying to like make more of the Exorcist over and over again? Like that's what we did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, essentially everyone just wanted to watch The Exorcist over and over again with a slight tweak. And it's a whole subgenre.
Yeah.
all on its own. Yeah, why can't we have something like anything, like even something stupider, like you're possessed by the ghost of a cat? I don't know.
Well, and this is what I was thinking about today. Like, I was like, the thing about it is if you tweak the formula even slightly, it's suddenly not a possession movie anymore. Like, like you made a joke earlier, Lauren, about like, oh, the ghost was Hindu or something like that. As soon as you take it out of like the Catholics, like, you know what I mean? Like the Christian mindset, like you take it away from being like a Christian demon and you take God out of it, all that stuff. All of a sudden it's like, well, it's something else. Like I was trying to think of movies that like good possession movies that aren't that. And the one that kept coming to my mind was Event Horizon, which I know is like a mix of a lot of things.
Hell yeah.
I know it's like Hellraiser meets, I don't know, like it's well, it's actually Hellraiser 4 meets meets The Exorcist in a way, but it's sort of a possession film, but because it's set in space and it's, you know, the it's not really defined what the demons are, if they're even demons or if they're just like another dimension or something like that. You don't think of it that way. You think of it as like a sci-fi horror. Just if you take that formula and it's not the same thing, like you can change it a little bit. You know, we've seen some of them where it's not so much like puking green stuff. It's like body horror or it's a found footage film or something like that. It still ends up being like a possession movie. But as soon as you take it out of that, like that small little frame of it's a Catholic demon, it just becomes another movie. I don't know.
You know, it's funny. You nailed it. Obviously, Exorcist is the linchpin title, right? Yeah. But I mean, like 1924, you have The Hands of Orlok, the Conrad Veidt film, and that's a possession film. It's about a guy who gets hands surgically attached to him, and the old owner of the hands starts to take possession of his body. So that's possession film, right? It's just not demonic possession. Yeah. That was remade as Mad Love in 1935, which is
it's a Twilight Zone episode. It's a Simpsons great movie. Treehouse of Horror segment.
Yeah, Carol Lombard's Supernatural, another film that is a possession story without going overly religious. The Roger Corman version of Tomb of Ligeia is also, it's a possession story. Bava's Black Christmas. That's something the world. That's something the world needs now that I said it. But Black Sunday is a possession film.
Love that movie.
And the possession of Joel Delaney came out in 1972. It's a not particularly religious possession film, but and then 1973 comes, and Blatty changes everything. Just everything.
They've been chasing it ever since.
Yeah, something like The Tempter, Beyond the Door, the Eerie Midnight Horror Show, which was also called Les Exorcist, which you gotta love. Yeah. The TV movie in 1975, The Night Child, which if you haven't seen, is actually a pretty creepy ordeal. Malabimba, definitely.
Yeah.
Scalps, even a shitty slasher film, but it's a possession flick. Night of the Demons, Evil Dead.
Yeah. Evil
Dead
for sure.
Yeah, and obviously on turf that I'm a little bit more partial to recently, there's a ton of Indian and Malaysian horror that revolves around possession, and because there's different cultural influences, they don't get trapped into that Catholicism box.
A lot more interesting, I think, in terms of American films or UK-based films. I would say anything for Jackson is a really good one on Shudder. I really like that one, and the Possession of Michael King is pretty good.
So yeah, this is the problem. I kind of like gloss over when I hear the title because it's The Possession of the Haunting of Janie McJane. Like I hear that and I'm immediately I'm out. It kind of sucks. And
it's kind of
I am too usually.
My question with this whole thing is kind of response to the main question here is like, can you be done with possession movies if you never started into them in the first place? Because, Lorne, you brought up a bunch in Raiho with Event Horizon that I wouldn't have thought about in that possession vein. Night of the Demons, another one, which I love both of those movies. But just other than that, like The Exorcist does it well, and I've hated almost every other thing. Like the Conjuring ones, they're fine. I wasn't mad during them, but it's not The Exorcist. It's not.
What tells you the whole story is that Exorcist 3 or Legion, right? Blatty knew he couldn't do that again. He's like, let's do something different because we're in trouble if we just go back to that well. Exactly. So, I don't know how many times we need to do it with the Pope's Exorcist or what was that found footage exorcism movie from a few years ago? I think it was a Blum project. They're all just look like
could be anything though.
God, it sounds like such a fucking nightmare to sit through.
It's just
found footage projection.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh my god!
I think I may have watched one of those too. I can't remember. I just remember there was like this poor emaciated woman that was like just getting the shit kicked out of her. It was like a body horror kind of thing, and I was like, this is just painful to watch. I don't know. It's certainly not a well I go back to. I tell you very often. Like I just and I was joking at the top, but I really how did this become a subgenre? Because you just named a bunch of great films that have possession in them, but we don't think of them as possession films. We just, because it's got to hit that, and I would have never thought to watch this one that Dan mentioned, but I'll have to check it out because I just earmarked them instantly. It was just, nope. Like I already saw everything I need to see. The Exorcist. You don't do anything different for me.
They are different. Possession of Michael King is really good. Anything for Jackson's very different. There are examples where, there's some though that are just like straight down the middle, just ripoffs of Exorcist, and you can't beat that. It's impossible to beat Exorcist. So, no point in trying.
Well, The Tempter is like literally The Exorcist. Like it just is. And Abby, which is the long suppressed Warner Brothers sued out of existence blaxploitation version of The Exorcist. I mean, it's a funny movie, but it is The Exorcist.
I think that one of the things that we're not hitting is, for me, like I'm not really a religious person to the point where possession movies freak me out. I'm kind of just here for the ride, but the loss of autonomy is a fear that you could hook me in with. But like Raiho, if you title something The Possession of Whoever, I'm just going to write it off automatically because it sounds like it's going to be anything similar.
And that's a great idea. Like that's the coming at it from that slant, like a person who's experiencing it and can't control themselves, like that's scary as shit. But just this, like, there's a priest in the room, they've got the good book. You know what I mean?
They got it open the Roman ritual.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Like, and it I think that's I think there's just a lot of Catholics and Christians out there that will watch the thing over and over again because they find that so scary.
Oh, Jesus.
Right?
Oh,
Exactly.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's why there is a subgenre in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, like, when seeing the Evil Dead remake, back in 2013, I thought that was used effectively because, you know, Mia's coming down off of heroin. She's detoxing, right? Drug addiction, feeling like also being possessed. You can't control yourself. You don't feel like you normally are. That was effective for me. That made sense.
Yeah.
Because that, you see, you just hit it, Sam. Yeah, the drug-addled nature of Mia is why the Evil Dead remake works and why Evil Dead Rise feels like been there, done that at best. The original Exorcist does something incredibly smart. We first go through the medical procedures, and incidentally, that's when all the musical themes start popping in too. So they're attaching the terrors of modern medicine to that score, but then they're going to turn the demon into an embodiment of that. So you don't need to be religious to still start to feel uncomfortable and start to feel betrayed by your body. Because this innocent girl who's talking about horses with mom and makes clay animals, you know, for her, is suddenly spouting, you know, dirty words and may just have kicked the director of your film out of a second floor window. You don't know, right? So, it smuggles in the supernatural rather than just asking you to just accept it, which I think a lot of the ripoffs don't understand, that in order to make it real for the audience, you got to hook them in with something tangible, something that they have experienced in their life. All of us have had someone we care about that's been very ill.
Yeah,
so
I've said for like the reason The Exorcist works for me is because it's got the religious aspect to it. Like it's obviously there, but it's very surface. It's, well, yeah, that's great. That's how we'll end it. But you know, like, I'm not religious, like Sam said. Like, I couldn't be further from it. So like, I have no attachment to that. It's like, okay, fine. That's not real. I don't care. But yeah, the whole all that other shit, and it just and also, the good guys don't win.
No,
and I'm always a fan of that.
So, Karis as a protagonist is fascinating because to him, that movie is about trying to come to grief with his mom's death. It doesn't have anything to do with possession. And that's why we have scenes of Father Dyer like putting his drunk ass to bed and taking off his shoes and, you're going to steal my shoes. A lot of people don't understand why those scenes are there. But it's the whole bedrock. You talk about someone who's fragile, yet he's lost his faith, or he's questioning his faith because of his mother's death. But why is he doing that? Because he could have been making a ton of money and taking care of his mother, and he went into the priesthood. The conversation he has with his uncle in that awful government hospital, that's what makes his arc work. Good writing is always about reflection. You're talking about two things at once. The Exorcist does that really well. Exorcist 2, Legion, I think, does it even better in a way. But all these ripoffs, they don't get it. They're just talking about demons. And it doesn't work. You need that second level. So, yeah, I'd say the Evil Dead remake, it doesn't go that hard into the addiction aspect of it, but at least it's present and provides a foundation. Exactly. I do think that it needs to lose that witch doctor scene in the beginning because it undercuts what I just said, and it's a shitty scene anyway.
I mean, similar to drug addiction, also another one that, you know, we were talking about this before is pregnancy. Pregnancy isn't that much far from possession, I'm sure. I don't know. I haven't been pregnant yet. We'll see. So, but yeah, and you mentioned Baby Blood also, right?
Yeah.
So, how does that one? How does I don't know anything about Baby Blood, so can you enlighten me a bit on that one?
Well, it's about the influence of an unborn child on a mother and the shit she'll do to satisfy a hunger that's coming from inside her. It's possession in a very loose sense, but I think it's a better possession film than most of the films that come after 1973. That's for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, again, you need to have a real life drama that you can then, metastasize into the demonic possession. Otherwise, listen, you guys say you're not religious. I'm an outright atheist. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, I'm actually a hard atheist, though I don't like to make claims that I can't back up. I can't prove a negative. But these films shouldn't work at all, and most of them don't work at all. The Exorcist still gets me. The Exorcist 3 still got me. The May the Devil Take You and the May the Devil Take You 2 movies from Indonesia, both, they get me because they're about something else. And then the possession and the action is all just a byproduct. And I think that if we could do that more often, possession films wouldn't have the stigma they have. But every time Hollywood executives get in a room and want to talk about a possession film, they basically just say, how can we make that again? How can we get that Exorcist money?
Yeah.
And they're doing it again.
That's it.
Plum's doing it again. We're going back.
Yeah.
So I guess do you guys think that's going to be an utter train wreck?
Most of what they do is just really.
I just think that Halloween did this, and at the bottom they're going to try and come in with Exorcist. I think that's going to be a very big fail.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. I mean, they're retooling it right now. They haven't announced that they're moving it off of the October release date, but everything I've heard is that they are.
Are you going to see it? Are you going to go see it?
I don't want to.
I mean, I think I'm going to have to review it, but man, I could care less. And everybody's like, but Linda Blair's back. And
that doesn't matter, though, right? We've seen this so many times. We've been tricked so many times now.
Yes.
I'm sick of these old fucking assholes.
Did you ever see the
You had
TV
your chance
series?
to make money. If you didn't, too bad. Move out of the way.
The TV series, I don't want to tout it too much because it's not that great. It was made for primetime television. So
yeah,
take that for what it is. But it did have, similar to what you were talking about there, Lauren, was the story is really about this family that they want to keep everything hush hush. They don't want anything to get out, and one of their daughters gets possessed. And then there's also some really great subplots with the priests. It's a similar thing, the frailty of the priest. Here's the guy that's supposed to save you, but he's from he was basically abused by the church and forced to be an exorcist, and there's this fragility to him too. So there's a lot of layers there that actually make it more interesting than most of the shit that you'll watch. I don't want to say that it's good and get you to watch it. You probably don't want to watch it, but it had more to it than any of the other, like I said, The Haunting of Molly Hartley or something like that, than anything like that that's been out in a long time. It did have the Exorcist name on it, which made it easier to sell. But if it wasn't the Exorcist and it was just a show, that it would have been decent even, I think. I don't know what happened in the second season. I didn't stick to it after the first one.
Again, maybe when I'm retired, I'll go back and watch all these television series that everyone tells me I should, but
I'm not telling you.
I don't got the time. I don't got the time or the brain cells at this point.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think?
Hannibal's not bad.
Third season Hannibal is a train wreck, and I love every second of it.
Well, that's gonna be a problem.
I actually totally agree. Yeah,
Harris books are DNA for me. So
I can appreciate both. It's fine. They're it's just sort of like Heath Ledger Joker, Jack Nicholson Joker. We're fine.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen's pretty damn good in that role. Very different, but good.
I thought I would hate him.
He was too perfect. When I first started watching it, I'm like, okay, I'm used to Anthony Hopkins. He's got a haughty idea of himself. He wants to be the big socialite or whatever, but he's not. He's this little man. But this is Mads Mikkelsen. I'm like, this guy's like super
This guy's
attractive,
hot.
and yeah, he's hot. But he sells it because he takes it a totally different path. That sociopath, and I really enjoy that show. It's really good.
I'm in the minority on this, but Hopkins' performance in Silence of the Lambs does not impress me, and it never really did. As a guy who had read the books up to that point, more than once each, by the way, because there's only 2 books at that point, he was just not my idea of Hannibal Lecter at all. Like Brian Cox's performance was closer, but it still wasn't quite there. But he has so little screen time, it doesn't matter.
I was going to say he doesn't get enough time to do anything, unfortunately. And
I think
Manhunter's
you'd
great.
like Mads. I think you'd like Mads, Lorne.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but my thing about Hannibal Lecter is that he is repellent on the page, and like we clean him up so much. He's like a fake. He's like
our anti-hero.
He's like something that's pretending to be a decent, refined person, but he's not. I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, the Hannibal Lecter we got from Hopkins' performance, which I'm sure was exactly what he was asked to do. He's a great actor. It's just kind of a Dracula performance. You know, it's kind of the suave vampire, and that's not what I got off the page, and it's certainly not. Red Dragon was given to me by my aunt for my birthday when I was like 12 or something, and it was an early read for me, so it holds a very close place in my heart. And I don't know, I just would love to see what I saw in my head on screen, but they've made that film twice now, and neither time is it even close. I like the first film a lot more than the second, obviously, but whatever. This is not about possession at all.
No.
Just possessed by the idea.
Isn't it fun just to let go?
I gotta say,
story.
We
Let
did
go
pretty
and let
good to
God,
stay
as
on
they
track
say.
right up until there. I think we did pretty good. It's
Someone
an hour
mentioned
42 in.
aliens and just let's us fucked up, get the whole show fucked up. So do you guys think there is any future for possession films? Do you think that there's a chance of, I mean, inside of the Hollywood, like mainstream American thing, because it's easy to say otherwise, but
I think it's time to abandon a lot of the religious aspect of it. I think you're just going to hook people. You're going to scare people worse if you make it more relatable to them.
Yeah.
And I mean,
yeah, I think I totally agree. I think it's going to take like a foreign film that takes the concept and kind of breaks the mold a little bit and gets like big traction in like, you know what I mean, in the Americas, to kind of shake it up enough that somebody would say, well, let's make that movie. Now, of course, they're going to remake it first. And probably do a terrible job of it, but it would be enough, hopefully, to like shake the tree a little bit, because right now, like you said, that the execs get in a room and they're like, all right, it's time to make Exorcist 115. What do we got, Jack?
Formula, got it, and now we.
What are we going to do to spin it? Well, this one's going to be done on a GoPro.
And just to be consistent, we'll reshoot the whole film after we're done. So there'll be 2 completely
This one's
different
all
versions.
shot on body cam.
Because my understanding, that's pretty much what we're going to get this time again.
Well, only then they have to do a remake of Exorcist 2. It's like, I think we can make the grasshoppers work.
The bad locusts, their wings touch. Yeah, that is a bad motherfucking film. But I have a weird history with that movie, because every 5 years or so I convince myself I should like it, and I pop it back in a player and I hate it again all over. I get angry at myself. I'm not angry at the film anymore. Like, John Borman made what he made, and it's there. I mean, it exists. It's in our world, right?
Yeah.
But it is not a good fucking movie. And I convince myself that I love underdog films, as people know. And I just keep convincing myself there has to be something there. Spoilers. On my deathbed, my last words will not be Rosebud. They'll be, oh, fuck Exorcist 2.
Yeah, I hated
Can
it
you
when
pop
I was
in
a kid.
Exorcist 2 for me one more time?
I'm coming up on the anniversary, so it'll happen soon. I don't know. It's a serious filmmaker. It's a handsome production in theory. It's an ugly film, but it's a handsome production. it takes big chances, which is something I love. It's not just trying to be the original Exorcist. Like all this shit that we just complained about is not Heretic. Heretic does none of that. I mean, it does in the very beginning of the scene in Africa, and then it gets it out of its blood and goes on and does just a bunch of other shitty things.
So, Lauren, what movie are you watching on your deathbed? Bride of Frankenstein or Haunting of Julia?
Well, that's my first and 12th favorite films, respectively.
I'm just
to be honest with you, I'd like to think that by then I'll be senile enough that I won't know what I'm watching. So maybe I will be watching like the
Exorcist 2 will make sense.
The Bud Court Bates Motel pilot. I don't know. But realistically, it's probably like next week we're talking about. So yeah, it'll probably be Bride of Frankenstein.
He just stands up weeping, clapping, wheezing. It finally makes sense. He cries.
I'm converting you, so I don't even want to hear it.
Are we still getting that remake of Bride? Because I'm hoping that died down, but I don't know now.
Everything in that, like everything that was associated with those old Universal monsters just died. Like they had the Invisible Man, absolute garbage fucking movie, and sorry, I really don't like that movie. And they tried to do the Dark Universe.
So I'm happy to hear you say it.
Yeah, they did the Mummy with like Tom Cruise. But that 1 second, they did the Mummy with Tom Cruise. And then everybody was just like, we can't touch this shit for 20 years.
Made all the classic movie fans very happy.
Like I thought that there was supposed to be like a Dracula, like a Bride of Dracula or something like that happening, or Brides of Dracula, and I haven't heard anything on that in a long time. There was a couple of projects that just seemed to like turn to smoke. I don't know.
It's probably good. So I saw the newest Invisible Man before I saw the original.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That is my favorite movie of that kind of batch, that 30s Universal monsters.
He's having a great time.
Claude Rains is fantastic.
Yeah, he ends it up in all the best ways.
I forget her name. The little lady, she's in Bride of Frankenstein too.
Thuman.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I love that woman. I would.
Well, she's very polarizing to classic, to like the famous monster set. Some love her, some hate her. But
yeah, I fucking fell in love with her.
Oh, listen, Invisible Man, the James Whale film. The special effects hold up 100% in that movie. That shouldn't happen. It looks better than the recent remake, so that shouldn't happen. But it did. I don't know. I just think Hollywood, where they stand, I don't think they can make a different type of possession film at this point.
That's why. That's. I feel like it has to be outside the machine, and it has to catch, and then something might change. But other than that,
should this be this hard?
No.
I mean, who's writing this shit? Maybe it's a good thing that the writers are on strike. I mean,
listen, I'll say this. These people are the whiniest motherfuckers. I was watching The Golden Girls the other day, and these sons of bitches back in the day had the balls to write a 2-part fucking recap episode, like a clip show. It's a 2-part clip show based around George Bush coming to the house. Like Uno Ka, yes.
Uno Ka. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Oh. Like, so, like, if you can't figure that out in 2023, then go fuck yourself.
See, I feel like
grab a hard hat, get down to the work job site.
I feel like the problem is you attach a writer to something like Bride of Frankenstein. You can't remake the original as it stands. It's a film of its time, and it's perfect. It's not a perfect film. There's mistakes in the film, mostly due to them losing a fucking reel of footage. But for what it is as perfect as a film could be. So it's like remaking Jaws, right? You can make a great shark movie. I think The Shallows is a great shark movie. Yeah. It's not Jaws, right?
No.
No, my Jaws film is Jaws 2 because that's the one I can watch at any time and just smile on my face.
Coming to 4K.
I hear you. Just in time for the format to die. But to me, like you hand a writer something like Bride of Frankenstein, and they're going to put a spin on it that's personal to them, and it's not going to resonate. Like, I mean, we're coming quickly on Bride of Frankenstein it's what 85 years old soon, right?
Yeah,
and it resonates hugely still. So, like writing a possession film that's relevant to today's eyes just shouldn't be an issue, right? This should be low hanging fruit, but yet can't be done apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, it's they will try again when it hits that 100th anniversary for sure. You're gonna get remakes of everything, and I shudder to think what it's gonna look like at that point. But they won't be able to. Well, 100th anniversary. Let's redo them all.
I have a little more hope for those for no real reason at all than any feelings I had with any like slasher remakes and shit. So I don't know what that's worth, but
there's only a few really great slasher films. I mean, like there's a lot that are fun. Like great films, there's a handful. So it's like in most cases, like it was what was the worst that was going to happen? You're going to make a film as bad as most of their sequels. So what?
Well, that's true. And like, I think the other reason is that not enough has changed, I don't feel, from the 80s to now. But from the 20s and 30s to now, so much has changed. So like, it's ripe for an attempt. Are they going to do it right?
But the only problem is that they did The Invisible Man and it was like a fucking camera suit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they need. I see what you're saying. There's enough of a time difference, but if they're going to use it like that on the nose, then they're going to fail. They're going to fall flat on their face. And the thing about Bride of Frankenstein is specifically, like when we're talking about Frankenstein in general, nothing's been remade probably more than Frankenstein. But that specific when you look at a film like Bride of Frankenstein, that specific blend of humor. Or all that stuff. That's difficult to redo properly. I don't know who could do it.
You know what the scary thing is? The Gothic fairy tale, which is what it is, right? So I'd say that Bava's Black Sunday is a film in that, but Bava is dead. Sadly, I think there was a time when a Tim Burton could have been a candidate for that, but it's so far in the rearview mirror now that would be a huge insult.
It would just be a Tim Burton movie now. Do you know what I mean? Like he's
So I mean, the Tim Burton who made Sleepy Hollow probably could have done something with it, but that guy's long gone, and that's not a perfect film either. There's some dipshittery in that film too, but I don't know who that would be today. I don't know who has a strong enough sense of both the Gothic and the darkly wry humor that's throughout Bride.
What do you think Del Toro is lacking from that? Because I feel like Crimson Peak I really enjoyed it. I didn't like the CG ghosts, but I thought he got the tone right.
I think Del Toro's problem is that he's a very visual storyteller, and he's not really. He wants to be lyrical, but it comes off as kind of that. It comes off as a bad imitation of a lyrical filmmaking style. Like the film Company of Wolves is very lyrical. It feels like a song put into visuals, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like Del Toro is always going for, but he never quite gets there for me. Mm-hmm. And you just might get a Pacific Rim out of it. So,
do you have a favorite Del Toro film, Lauren? I don't know if I've ever asked.
Devil's Backbone.
Okay, yeah, I kind of figured. Yeah,
but you see, that's not who he is today either.
No,
it's over 20 years ago now.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Kronos fan. I know that people think I should be, but I there's something about that film that does not connect with me. So whatever. And that Blade film he made is just awful. I'm sorry. I'll take the shitty third film over that.
Ooh, no, I don't know
wow.
about that.
Yeah, I will.
Triple H and Parker Posey.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Weird
That second film just
I
feels
didn't like the second one enough to see the third one.
So the third film has like stupid shit like Ryan Reynolds making jokes.
And I know
while being
Triple
tortured.
H is in it. Like you maybe forget I'm, as big a wrestling dork as Sam or
He
Dan.
stopped for reasons.
But
Listen, none of those Blade sequels are good, but there's something about that's very phony about the second film to me. It has that like quick motion action that makes you feel like you're watching Peter, like one of his Matt Damon action films. No, you can keep that. And the third film is funny because it doesn't know what it wants to do. It keeps changing its mind about as sequences. Whistler is dead. No, wait, he's alive. Like literally the next scene. It's like there's no time to even feel anything because we're gonna undo everything immediately.
Nope.
It's pretty awful, but it's funny awful.
That's gonna keep getting bad though, because I know the next one. I just feel like here's Mia Goth. Now you should want to see it, and I'm like, no, that's not gonna work.
Is she in it? Is she gonna be in it?
She is gonna be in it. Yeah.
They just put off its release date for like a year
that
and a
movie has
half,
been
so-
delayed like 5 times.
It might die.
They haven't shot a frame of it, so
Exactly. Yeah. From what, I can't tell what the hang up is. If it's, I don't know, that movie's. I will be shocked if that movie comes out.
Marvel, how about you make a Tomb of Dracula movie? You know where the character came from?
Well, they
Why don't
did
you do
that
that
like
first?
half-hour
Werewolf
one.
by-
Werewolf by Night.
I like that. I thought it was okay.
It was just okay, but like it was like they have so many properties that are in that vein that they don't touch, or if they do, they try to marvelize them. That it's really sad because like they had so much great horror stuff back in the day. That, like you mentioned, Tomb of Dracula. They could really, tap that and have like a true Marvel horror scene. But anyway, they're gonna pull him into a Moon Knight or something like that, and he's gonna be like a superhero. He's gonna turn into a werewolf on command or something. And
which is not what the original book did, but whatever.
No. Yeah.
Well, guys, we're coming up on 2 hours, and we like to keep these things on time. Huge thanks to the chat out there. You guys kept things really active. You also showed up. We never know that you're going to show up, so when you do, we love you for it.
Respond with text, huh?
Hey, Sam, where can people keep up with all things Sam?
Mostly on Visited by Voices 1 on the YouTubes. And also I have another podcast that I do with another lady called Ethereal Funereal, where we just make fun of the dark shit in life. We're currently on summer break, but you can find our older episodes over on R82 TV on YouTube. And currently my social media is mostly locked because of dick bags. So, but I am restarting Sheebie Jeebies as a long form podcast, so maybe we'll be back around July.
Yeah. Amazing. Steak, what's going on in World Steak?
So, obviously, head over to the Off the Grill podcast channel every Monday, 10 p.m. Check that out over on Twitter, Steak Sauce OTG. And this Sunday, June 18th, 8 p.m. over on S'mores and Doors, there's going to be a very special Off the Grill podcast. And we have a pretty sweet special guest, so tune in. It'll be fun.
Awesome. Dan, what tell us all things Flesh Wound.
Flesh Wound features here on YouTube. Also check out streamxpw.com. Their next event, Problematic, is coming up on the 24th. And that's pretty much it.
Raiho.
Let me make this clear, guys. This is it. The only place you can find me is on Regionfree.
It's been 2 years, man.
It's been 2 years. I feel pretty good. I had a really great time tonight. Can I say that? It's been awesome, guys. And I never got to talk with like any of you guys before, so this has just been absolutely awesome. I had such a great time. But this is it. You can find me on all the shittiest social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for @Raiho Magnifico. But really, this is it. You got to watch Regionfree if you want more of this. I don't know, shitbag.
Yes.
So you can find me on Visited by Voices 1, of course, on the YouTube, and at Lorne Dixon on the Twitter. If you need to reach out to me, I take messages from everyone, though I probably shouldn't. This is the point in the show usually where I pop up a book called Divide by Zero and tell you to buy it. But today I'm going to ask you to do something different. The great Danielle Trusandi's new novel, The Puzzle Master, is out. The Ancestor is one of my favorite books of all time. And Danielle is obviously a friend of the Visited by Voices show. But she's just an amazing person, an amazing storyteller. I haven't gotten to read it yet, so I'm not going to, but I trust her implicitly. So please consider, if you want really dark thrillers that veer into horror territory, you can't go wrong with Danielle. So buy Danielle's book instead of mine this week, but then next week go back and buy another copy of Divide by Zero. Can everyone give me a hallelujah?
Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
Iris loves you.
That was the same shit as the last time.
Well, you picked the last one, and they didn't like the last one.
You didn't like the last one? But you were laughing the whole time.
Yeah, because it was ridiculous.
Ridiculous? It's a classic.
I'm not really into all the weird cousin shit that was going on.
You lied to me.
You picked this one. You picked this one. Cousin shit.